Hello, hello. Um, I don't know why I keep looking this side. That's because there are vehicles passing by on this side, and I can't stop looking over there. But if you see me looking on that side, just forgive me that the vehicles keep distracting me, and I cannot cross the window because the windows helps me out with the light. Anyways, today is January 22nd, and right now it's about 4 p.m. and just making this video. Just woke up for the afternoon nap. I have like 1 hour nap, afternoon or evening nap, and here I'm back. I hope you're doing great, and I hope you had a good afternoon, you have a good evening, you had a good morning, and I am back with the same videos on this channel. Today's video is going to be about one of the events that I attended. I've been to so many events for quite some time. Yesterday I attended. Was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. Let me see my calendar because I usually forget. But yesterday I had an event. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it's not in my calendar. But yesterday I attended an event about internships here at Washington DC with World Bank, and I'll be applying soon to work at World Bank. Hopefully I will get a job in there to work for them. I love World Bank. I think it's one of the best organizations. I also attended one of the Trump speech in Davos in Europe. Then that was like the same day. I think that was yesterday. What else did I do? So yeah, then today I attended two events. One event, actually one is still going on right now. One event is the AI event with different companies, different entrepreneurs and different startups talking about AI, and then the other event, which was just came out right now, like 2 hours ago, is the event about global and anti-human trafficking movement. This is one of the events. I don't know if you can see it. Anti-human trafficking. The event was such wonderful, and I want to highlight people who attended. These were professionals here in Washington DC, and I feel like there was something that was very important. Just want to say that human trafficking has been neglected under Trump administration because of the defunding of different programs, and because of that, it's been a very huge problem that has been happening for now. And a lot of people, especially with deportation, is happening. A lot of migrants, especially undocumented migrants, are becoming the victims of human trafficking, and they are victims of human trafficking, and they are being deported, or they are facing legal challenges because of the administrations with ICE and CBP, Customs and Border Protection, are not doing their job to ensure that these victims are not, put into danger. So that's something that has been in the debate right now, as the administration is not really focusing on that as much. So I'm gonna read this global anti-human trafficking movement across the world, this overview. I think this should be fun. This was like a panel discussion that I just attended at Catholic University Columbus School of Law. So everybody in the room was either an advocate or a lawyer or an attorney. These are law people, and the policymakers. I'm an econ person, but human trafficking movement involves everybody, right? It can involve things like unpaid workforce, cheap labor in Congo and China, forced labor, those things like play a big role. Slavery in North Africa, so we know those things are happening every single day, right? It's called modern day slavery, right? And US is the only country that focuses on ending that, illegal labor, forced labor, human trafficking, prostitutions, right? Those things are happening all over the world. So I'm gonna read the memo. It's not a memo, it's like a statement here. For over a quarter of a decade, the United States has been a global leader in anti-trafficking efforts. At the forefront of the international leadership has been the State Department's office to monitor and combat trafficking in persons. Created in 2000 as part of the landmark Trafficking Victims Protection Act (TVPA), Congress designed this State Department office to implement a comprehensive global program to end trafficking, led by an ambassador at large who reported directly to the Secretary of State. Since then, this leadership has been among the most influential in the world, and Congress has tasked it with several legislative mandates. These include the annual publications of the most influential trafficking report on the globe, the TIP report, the distribution of more than $300 million to support more than 960 anti-trafficking projects worldwide to prevent, protect, and prosecute human trafficking. Media reports indicate that current State Department has cut the office by more than 70%. Not completely, but 70%. That's pretty good. That's pretty positive. Merged the office into a large bureau, failed to name an ambassador, and terminated nearly 70 international programs aimed at combating child labor. Very concerning, right? Forced labor and human trafficking, potentially undermining decades of progress in protecting vulnerable workers globally. This event commemorates Human Trafficking Awareness Month and the 25th anniversary of TVPA by convening the last 5 ambassadors to combat trafficking in persons to discuss these changes and their implications for ending modern slavery throughout the world. So you get the idea here. These were ambassadors who attended, and I don't know these ambassadors, but I think they are very important individuals. These ambassadors or panelists and moderators, I'm going to read them their biography. Mark Legon, he served under the Bush administration. This is before I came to the United States, right? Back in 2000, from 2007 or 2009. Ambassador Mark P. Reagan is the Chief Policy Officer of Friends of the Global Fight Against AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, and also an adjunct professor in the Masters of Science in Foreign Service program at Georgetown University. Wow, these are very big individuals. He is a senior fellow at the Trinity Forum. He is a leading authority and practitioner on human rights as a former president of Freedom House and human trafficking and immigration, having served as U.S. Ambassador at Large and Director of the Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons at the Department of the Office at the Department of State as Executive Director and CEO of Polaris, and a leading human trafficking nonprofit, and as a founding member of the board of the Global Business Coalition Against Human Trafficking. So you can see how these individuals are really involved in these most complex systems in the world. Human trafficking is the most complex system in the world. It's very concerning. But my goal here is to see the economic side of things. It shows how people who could be contributing to society, just not just like contributing individually, but they're also like involved in ending these lucrative businesses that is going out there, which is human trafficking business. Second person on the panel was Louis C. DeBuck. He served under Obama administration from 2009 to 2014. Louis C. DeBuck is a professor from practice at the University of Michigan Law School. He led U.S. government activities in the global fight against contemporary forms of slavery during the Obama administration. As ambassador at large to monitor and combat trafficking in persons, See the Barker updated status created after the Civil War and through the 13th Amendment to develop the victim-centered approach to modern slavery that has been the global standard for combating human trafficking. Fascinating, right? These guys have amazing story that I was able to read here. This is their biography, right? And I was fascinated by this biography because if I don't read these biographies and make a video about it and then put this video out there, then in the future I can revisit this video and be like, wait a minute, did I actually got this to these events? When I take a picture of it, sometimes the pictures get forgotten or get deleted. The second panelist was Susan Carpage. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. She served under Obama and Trump administrations from 2015 to 2017. Susan Carpage is the executive director of the Georgia Legal Service Program, or known as GLSP, a non-profit providing free civil legal aid to low-income Georgians in areas like housing, family law, aid to low-income family law, and public benefits, leveraging her extensive background as a former U.S. attorney and ambassador at large focusing on combating human trafficking. She is known for her dedication to access to justice, using legal expertise from her past roles prosecuting traffickers and assisting victims to lead GLSP's mission. Wow. Yeah, she was a prosecutor, but she was like really chill lady, so that has to be the toughest prosecutor ever. Somebody who's smiling and persecuting people, tough. The second person on the panel was John Can Richmond, or Catan Richmond. He served under Trump administration from 2018 to 2021. Ambassador Richmond is an attorney and diplomat focused on ethical business, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. His career has taken him to the front lines in the global battle against human trafficking. Ambassador Richmond currently leads the Libertas Council, which works to galvanize global leaders to shape solutions that affirm human dignity by combating human trafficking. He also serves as the Chief Impact Officer at Atlas Free, working to resource and accelerate organizations fighting human trafficking. As a U.S. ambassador, he led foreign policy related to modern slavery and coordinating the U.S. government's response to this crime. Yeah, pretty tough job to be in here for John. Okay, the last two people on the page on the panel were Cindy Dyer. She served under Biden administration from 2023 to 2025. Ambassador Cindy Dyer is a human rights expert and a lawyer with more than 30 years of experience working at the local, national, and international levels. Ambassador Dyer currently serves as the chief program officer at the McCain Institute, leading the design and the delivery of the Institute's human rights and freedom, democracy, and leadership programs. She has held presidentially appointed positions in the Department of Justice, Defense, and State in both the Republican and the Democratic administrations. Wow. While ambassador at large to monitor and combat trafficking in persons, she traveled and directly engaged with government officials in 20 countries throughout every region of the world. Wow, Cindy has a lot of things to do here. The last person was a moderator. She's a professor. Her name is Mary Groy Rai, and she's a professor. Professor Groy Rai is a law professor at Catholic University of America, Columbus School of Law, and directs the Modern Prosecution Program and the Bakita Initiatives for the Study and Disruption of Modern Slavery. A former federal prosecutor. Wow, she's a former federal prosecutor. Her expertise lies in criminal law, procedure, technology, and victimization, with a focus on exploitation of women, children, and marginalized groups. Professor Rowley is the former chair of the U.S. Sentencing Commission's Victim Advisory Group and the former director of the National Center for the Prosecution of Child Abuse. So these guys were on a panel, and they talked about different things, but there are things that they mentioned that I was not really like thinking about it. When we think about human trafficking, we tend to think about things like, people being kidnapped from their own hometown. Like slavery, for example. Slavery was human trafficking, right? People get pulled from Africa, from another country, they built a new world and being used for forced labor, sometimes labor without pay. But you have also people being persecuted from, countries like South America, and then they get brought to the United States, and then they have to work and then pay the bonds, right? But then there are also other trafficking, like people brought from other countries around the world, and then they get brought to the United States and they get to serve as prostitutes. Like we have many prosecutions in the United States where people are brought to the United States as prostitutes, and they get to be used as prostitutes here in the country, living here illegally, no documents, nothing, right? It's happening in America every single day. But you also have other things like, modern day slavery, like people being trafficked from Africa to Europe, right? Recruitment of the military. Then you have things like forced labor in China, people again being paid little money to work, and then corporations pocketing every dollar. You have child labor in Congo, right? And the low-paid labor in Congo, people working in mining and very risky jobs with sometimes no pay. And then companies like Apple, Tesla benefiting from those things, right? I'm not an expert in this, but I don't know how can my economics background really play a big role in this specific field. What comes to my mind right now is probably trying to track the transfer of money, trying to see where the money is coming from. That could be one way of tracking human trafficking, but also prosecuting. Also, something that these guys mentioned in the panel, which was very interesting, is how somebody walks into a shop and steals a bunch of stuff, right? And that person gets caught by police, and that person gets sent into jail, right? Gets prosecuted for their crimes. Sometimes this person is doing something that they did not mean to do, right? This person is being sent by someone else. But how do you, as a prosecutor, for instance, how do you ensure that this person is not, this person is innocent, right? Is declared innocent. When you catch the perpetrator, the person behind the scene who's sending this person to do crimes, bring that person to the judgment, right? This reminds me, for instance, in Africa, you have parents sending their kids to go there and they beg, right? Beg on the streets, beg for tourists, beg for different things, right? The same people would send their kids to do prosecution. The same people would send their kids to steal. The same people would send their kids to join the army, right? What about things like free labor, right? Imagine you work for these organizations, you work for a company as an intern and you're not getting paid. Is that unethical? Is that a good thing? Human trafficking is not just about getting kidnapped from Amazon forest It's also about working for a company like JP Morgan and not getting paid. It's also working for a government, not getting paid. This organization is, United Nations, right? World Bank, IMF, WHO. These organizations, NATO, these organizations, even though they seem to be, trying to end these problematic issues that we have, but also like they hire interns, they hire young people, 18 years old, 16 years old, 20-year-olds to work for free. Now this makes me think, last time I advocated for people to volunteer. I especially when Trump administration said that people who want to be a citizen, they should be able to volunteer. I'll make a video in the future about this, but now after attending this organization, this conference, this lecturer, now I'm trying to think: are we really, if are people who are migrants actually right for not working for free in a country that is known to have the highest slave trade in the world? It's debatable. There is an interesting thing over here on the top. This thing over here has a lot of terms. These terms are very interesting. I'm gonna read them, all of them. Adults, crew, afraid, exploitation, victims, violations, stop, hostage, rights, abused, children, poverty, victim, fear, despair, international, abused, exploitation, human, forced marriage, crime, trade, servitude. I don't know what that means. Servitude, emotional, women, business, industry, forced labor, justice, violence, kidnapping, adults, trapped, slavery, sexual, civil begging. Civil begging, what does that mean? Some of these terms means a lot. I think it's crucial to understand these terms as the criminal act, right? Because we do things every single day, and without understanding what these things mean could also result into either us being the victims or engaging other people as victims. So what is a civil begging? Okay. Civil begging or aggressive panhandling is a legal term in some countries and jurisdictions such as the United States for unlawful forms of public begging. Proponents of such a legislation advocate placing limits on these activities. Some opponents believe statutes prohibiting aggressive panhandling are part of the criminalization of homelessness, and argue that such laws are discriminatory or unevenly enforced. Okay, so civil begging, I just let you know this, but it's a new term that just came out. It's basically panhandling, right? It's kind of interesting. So if somebody's begging on the streets, should that be illegal? In terms of human trafficking, sometimes people are forced to beg. People are forced to go out there and do those things by random individuals. For instance, people could be begging to buy drugs. We see this commonly done in California, right? I didn't know this was a term that was being used in real life. Then despair Okay, the word despair means to lose, to lose all hope. Okay, so it is fascinating that human trafficking can come in different forms, in different ways and different categories. Economically, human trafficking generates billions of dollars worldwide, because when organizations and individuals involved in human trafficking, I'm losing my voice, they do gain a lot of money, and they don't pay taxes because it's not tracked. There was an interesting part on why does the United States involve in human trafficking so much. Many countries do question this a lot because many countries they don't really care. Like for instance, in Uganda and some countries in Africa, prostitution is like widely accepted, right? Countries like Thailand, prostitution is widely accepted. But US thinks that prostitution is illegal, and whenever it's practiced, whoever is doing it gets to be prosecuted. Whoever is advocating for it gets to be punished. Why don't other countries do it? I don't know. I don't understand why. But the United States continue to become the only country that does advocate this. One person asked the question, which states or cities that have, have the best human trafficking laws in the United States? And one of them was California. California does really a great job in reinforcing human trafficking laws, but do they actually? I'm not too sure. Personally, I've had a very shady business when I was in California, especially in Northern California, where individuals from like countries like India and other countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan, are in Silicon Valley working for free, 100% free, and expect no pay. They are programmers, engineers, working for startups. Okay, these big corporations, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Google, they have involved in free labor, forced labor, at some point, right? But a state that has the most brilliant people, a state that has a large number of migrants or people of color who are not black, never experienced slavery. There is a lot going on in that state of California, but the state tries its best to reduce that. But anyways, that was like